me is as important as anything that we can tell you right now. Guys?
All right, thanks, Dennis.
All right, Hurricane Irma disrupting so many plans. We've heard so many heartbreaking stories.
That's right. ABC Action News reporter Jared Holbrook met one couple who bought a house in Cape Coral, and now they need to wait and see if they will ever get to move in.
Here in Citrus County, we came across a couple who had to evacuate from Cape Coral. Woody and Don Herman had to evacuate Tuesday afternoon. They just moved into their house Tuesday morning. So needless to say, their timing could have been a little bit better, and they'll tell you why.
So we just bought it on Tuesday.
You just bought it and have you moved in?
No.
We closed on Tuesday.
You closed on Tuesday and haven't moved in yet.
And left
But we
town
left
on
some
Tuesday.
stuff out of the car, so we had enough room for 3 people. Our sister-in-law's with, or my sister-in-law's with, and started driving north.
Are you like, man, I wish I signed that document maybe next week instead?
Well, I happened to be in the hospital at the time, and she looked at me and goes, should we sign it? Yeah, let's try it. So it is what it is.
Well, the Hermans tell me they booked a hotel down in Fort Myers for right after the storm where they could stay there in case they suffer significant damage to their new home. And they tell us that it'll be then they'll determine whether they got a saltwater pool or a freshwater pool. In Citrus County, I'm Jared Holbrook. Back to you.
All right, Jared, thank you. I want to head out to Justin Bruce, who is live on the roof of our ABC Action News building to give us a look at the conditions up there. Justin?
Thanks a lot. Yeah, everyone here in Hillsborough County has been kind of in a wait-and-see mode for the last several hours. We knew that the tropical storm force winds were going to be possible this afternoon, and we're starting occasionally to feel those 40-plus mile-per-hour gusts. Now, one county over in Pinellas County, because of the way the winds blow around a tropical system, they've been seeing 50 to 60 mile-per-hour gusts, so much windier just to the west of Tampa Bay. But you can see Raymond James Stadium behind me. Of course, the Bucks were scheduled to be playing in Miami right around now. Next Sunday's game, a home game here against the Bears. Fingers crossed that we have things recovered and we'll be playing next Sunday. But you can see the palm trees waving in the wind as Dennis, Shea, the whole weather team have been telling us for days and days and days. The winds are going to get a lot worse here in the Tampa Bay area across Hillsborough County as the center of the storm approaches. So later on this evening, we're thinking after 6, after 7 p.m., that's when conditions are really going to deteriorate. Even though the gusts so far have been 40 to 50 miles per hour, if you're outside, even just sort of looking out your door at home or from the shelter, you're starting to feel those winds pick up.
Went to shelters here in Naples or started taking off and left town several days ago to get away from this storm. So that is the good news. It sounds like human life in the path of this storm, for the most part, has evacuated. Of course, that is not to say that everyone evacuated. First responders know that there's always going to be a segment of the population stubborn to leave and willing to ride it out in these conditions, so that they're prepared for that. And in speaking with the police chief on Marco Island, which is about 20 miles south of where we are, and that is a barrier island with about 16,000 people call that full-time as their home. The police chief told me last night, as the storm was starting to approach, that he believed that most of the people had evacuated the area, but they are on the island. 80 first responders, police and firefighters on the island, dispatched in various locations, high-level locations around the island to prepare for this. Those people are in the middle of this storm, perhaps even in the eye of the storm as we speak, probably trying to gauge the situation. But they had deployed boats, watercraft into various areas, prepared to launch any kind of high-water rescues if need be, or if anybody was trapped and wanted to escape after that. But they're obviously waiting for the worst of this storm to go by. Chris? ship inside, get everything together. Let me know when to come back to you. But Dave, I want to go back to Miami and check in with John Berman. But before we do, let's give you an opportunity to just get what it is here right now. You're not going to hear from me. It doesn't mean anything's happening, but just try and catch some of this sound and the sights of what is going on in Naples, Florida right now. Dave's going to give you the full pan of the situation and just take it in for what it is. This is what Naples has been dealing with for about an hour or so, and we have hours and hours to go. This is it. This is Mother Nature at her worst, and we're going to hope that we respond with human nature at its best. To John Berman down in Miami, we know you've been seeing it like this. We're getting some unique aspects here, John, because of this corridor effect we're getting where we are in Naples. How is it where you are?
I keep listening to your coverage, Chris, and as it gets worse there, I keep thinking it will get better here, but it just hasn't happened. Not yet. In fact, Miami continues to get hammered by powerful winds, gusts as strong as we've seen them. The rain maybe let up for a second here, which is nice, and we did just learn that a second crane has collapsed now in downtown Miami at 30th East, if you're familiar with the geography here. So that's two cranes, one collapsed or a possible failure in the crane. The bottom line is this crane is now hanging. Part of it is hanging down. These cranes, more than 20 of them in downtown Miami, a sign of the progress and the economic sort of boom times that Miami is experiencing, but they couldn't get them down in time. It takes 6 days to a week to get a crane down. They didn't have that much lead time, so they had to leave them up. They secured them. We were told they were built to withstand 145-mile-an-hour winds. Now, I don't know whether we got that here. You know, down on the ground, 80, 90 miles an hour. We were told up in the skyscrapers there were gusts of 100 miles an hour, but it's clear at least two of those cranes have failed. Authorities are telling people not to go anywhere near the areas of those two cranes. And, of course, it's not just the cranes that are a problem. Also, the storm surge, very much what we anticipate to see on the west coast of Florida. A very real problem at this moment in Miami. The streets that people know so well, Brickell Ave, covered in water. And it's very hard to move around these areas. And they're exact areas that Miami officials ordered mandatory evacuations for. They wanted people out because they were scared of just this thing. We were told of 4 to 6 feet worth of storm surge here. Chad Myers at last check said 5.5 feet, and 5.5 feet was enough to get over some of those storm walls and flood the streets. Where we are right now, when we've been out here straight days nearly, the water came up. The water came up, you can see the cement right here. It came up about a foot from the top. It has begun to recede because the tide is going out. So our immediate situation right around here appears to be better. The boats in this marina have taken a beating. Is behind the camera, you can't see it, but there was one of the larger boats at one point was tied down by 8 ropes. There was only one rope holding it on at a certain point. People rushing out and trying to secure it. I think maybe they did. We have seen parts of docks float off into the water here. And then another sensation that we saw for much of the morning was bursts of green light out there from Miami Beach. That is where Miami Beach is. And those bursts of green light were transformers blowing. And that, of course, meant that Miami Beach was going to be without power. They could be without power for some time. A lot of Miami-Dade has lost power as well. Again, just the beginning for what will happen in Florida as this storm has made the turn and heads right towards where Chris Cuomo is in Naples. And Chris, I've been listening to you. You know, hang in there. If it's anything like it's been in Miami, it's going to be a problem for many, many hours.
Yeah, and I mean that, you know, the duration is going to be a big part of this story. I'm going to stand out of the shot right now just so that Dave can give you Dave Rupp, our photojournalist, can give you the full effect of what we're getting hit with now, because it's certainly intensified. And the acute concern here on the West Coast is just the inability to absorb that much, because these cities and are so low-lying. And the extra component here, as Chad Myers has been explaining, will be storm surge. That hasn't even come. Nothing here has been affected by what could be an additional 10 feet of water that could come in. It could come up many blocks. It could affect power. It could affect a lot of different things, and for a long time. And that's why evacuating was such a key concern. And it's important to note that they got lucky here. And I know that this looks like nothing close to luck. Understood.
It's good to see those. All right, thank you, Sean. And we're going to go over to Chief Meteorologist Dennis Phillips now with some new information. Dennis.
Yeah, Irma has made landfall. We just got the report from the Hurricane Center right on Marco Island, as we've been saying. So landfall with a wind gust of 130 miles an hour, but look at the sustained winds. They're down 5 more. The pressure is up. It's good news. It's moving due north at 12. So now the only thing that could throw a wrench into all of this is if for some reason it would jog to the west or northwest and then tap some of that warm Gulf water. But my experience over the years, I'm doing this for
eye wall. So maybe too early to assess the damage because the real threat here is going to be that storm surge.
So now the only thing that could
John, you have a little while to go. I mean, honestly, it was an hour ago I said you're halftime. Now you're third quarter, but you're not fourth quarter. And for you, Chris Cuomo, you are now in the lightest part of the eye wall. The lightest part of the eye wall. You went through a small little outer eye here, and that's now moved to the north. Our Chris Cuomo right there, downtown Naples. But the major part of the eye wall here, you can see the difference in colors in the red. That is about to move over you. I would say that's 3 minutes away, and that is what's going to be hitting you as soon as we toss back to you, essentially. There's the eye wall. What I have noticed for everyone in Tampa is that the storm has slightly turned right. I don't know if it's a wobble or a trend, came out of the Keys, and now it has slightly turned to the right. If that continues, Tampa, you're going to be in much better shape tonight because the storm of the eye of the storm will be right over land for a longer time. The original forecast was for it to come something like this and stay half on land, half off land, and that would continue to be a strong storm all the way to Tampa. If we continue to see this, then we won't see as strong of a storm in Tampa tonight at about 8 or 9 o'clock tonight. But there is the eye of the storm right now. Chris Cuomo heading to you. I can see damage already on some of your pictures there. Trees are going to be down. It's going to get worse. I would say you're going to add at least another 30 miles per hour onto what you just saw when you get that part of the eye wall right there, and that's 5 minutes away. Chris?
And then we have to deal with the residual storm storm surge and see what that does. You know, we spoke to someone on Marco Island. You're saying that the storm went over there as a Category 3. Wayne, please check in with us. Wayne is a 61-year-old man, decided to stay in his condo. He said about a dozen people, maybe a little less, decided to stay along with him in their own units. Please check in and let us know that you're okay, because a lot of the people who decided to stay behind wind up being our eyes and ears, as the first responders will be when they get back out, but they're not there yet. So just let us know you're okay. So, John, they're telling me that they're going to put up on the screen a radar comparison of where we are right now. I don't think either of us have returns. So maybe in the control room, you can kind of talk us through. What are you seeing in terms of similarities between Miami and Naples right now? Well, they're both being hit very hard is the information they're giving me, John, which I think we could have figured out. Go ahead.
Yeah, Chris, Exactly. Thank you, Control Room, for telling us we're both being hit hard by the hurricane right now. But that is actually, I think, an exceptional image. Because if you look at the map of Florida, where Chris is in Naples, right? It's all the way on the west coast. I'm in Miami. That's on the east coast. We have all of Florida in between us, and we are both getting hammered right now by Hurricane Irma. And Miami has been hit since last night. We were out here last night beginning to feel the impact of these winds. So it's been nearly 24 hours of consistent winds. Chad Myers promises me we're in the fourth quarter of this game. If it goes into overtime, I'm not talking to Chad anymore ever again. Chris, you have a lot more ahead of you. But again, you know, Chad's the meteorologist here. It feels to me like the size of this storm is highly unusual, and the fact that it's delivering the force on both sides of the state is something we haven't seen before, and it's a contributing factor, frankly, to what you're about to see there with the storm surge as well, Chris.
All right, so John, let's try and bring in somebody else on this West Coast here and get a different sense of perspective of a place that's just starting to get into this. So you got John Berman in Miami and all our correspondents there, obviously, from downtown Miami over onto the East Coast. They've been dealing with this in excess of 12 hours now, really, if you think about it. And that is, again, as John was just telling you, testament to the size, the breadth of Hurricane Irma, not just strong, but very long, so that the range of hurricane force winds goes about 75 miles outside the eye. Tropical force winds about 100, 125 miles outside the eye. So the range is enormous, hence why Miami and Naples are getting battered equally. But what about who comes next? Drew Griffin is just a little ways up north from us here on this West Coast. You've been dealing with the shelter system. This is that heavier band that Chad was telling us about. It definitely is picking up. It is a wall of water coming sideways. It is like standing in a car wash. And I know that because I've actually done that before, Drew. So what is it like where you are right now? We lost power here. Is your shelter back up and running? Did they get power up?
No, the power is not up. We're still out, and we're still getting those heavy bands, which are just going to increase like they've been for Berman, like they've been for you, and we're getting it up here. And if you look, if you're at a dry place and look at a map of Florida and see where all of us are, just the incredible strength of this storm and the breadth of this storm is wild. We're blocked by a large hotel, so we're in the block zone, but these trees are just on the other side, and you can see the trees, the street signs, and when we pan over, you'll see these tall light posts. Those are light posts where they've dropped the lights all the way down to the ground here in Florida to protect them from the wind, but that light is just wobbling now in the wind. I'm sure it can take that kind of wind it's designed to, but it gives you a sense of the strength of the wind that is coming through here. I know it's bad there. I know it's bad in Miami. It is also bad here, and it's bad, I think, remarkably, Chris, all at the same time. Irma is just churning through all of southeast and southwest Florida as it makes its way up now towards Tampa. Chris?
All right, Drew, I'm going to stick with you for a second, but we just got word that the president, I believe, control room, correct me if I'm getting it wrong, my IFB isn't perfect, what I'm hearing isn't perfect, that President Trump has been talking about the storm. That media is coming in. When we get it, we will bring it to you. Obviously, he is monitoring the best situation, but as you can see, this has just turned into a maelstrom here in Naples. I mean, this water is coming down sideways. The wind gusts have gotten really intense here, Drew, and it's not just the intensity, it's the duration. Like, it doesn't end. As Chad was telling John Berman, hopefully they're in the fourth quarter, but these quarters are hours long, and it's got to be raising the level of anxiety of the people up in that shelter. What are you seeing in terms of how they're coming together and how they're processing what's about to come their way?
Well, everybody's just trying to stick together, trying to share food. We've seen a lot of people here. They're all in the same boat, right? Nothing brings people together like terrible tragedy. So they're all trying to work with each other. We are currently at a hotel which is just filled with evacuees. and the power is out, has been out. People are congregating in the lobby. Power to cell phones is starting to run dry on some of these folks, so they're losing all their communication. And what you see a lot more of is the social interaction where people are trying to share news with each other. Hey, did you listen to a radio? Did you hear anything? Did you get a call out? What did they say? So you're in that phase when people are really, they're starting to realize they are going to survive this storm together and alone until it's over with. That's basically a hunker down philosophy, right? But it's still this incredible wind. Not many people venturing out, that is for sure.
That's for damn sure, Drew. People would have to be really just off it to want to go outside right now. Honestly, I don't know how they physically could do it, even if they wanted to for some nuts reason. Here where we're standing right now on this balcony, it's like a little micro analogy of what this entire area is going to deal with. We're flooding on our balcony right now just because of debris. You don't have to show it to them, Dave, but just little twigs and stuff that are coming down from the trees are blocking the drains. So the water fills up so quickly. Imagine that magnified exponentially for the sewer system here, which already is a very low water table, right? I mean, it's very shallow because the water table is very high, so it floods very easily. Just this rain alone would have completely overwhelmed it. And still, we're waiting on the storm surge. And these gusts are the real deal. Ed Lavandera is at ground level. We're up about 25 feet. And Ed, I got to tell you, it is like a sandblasting to the face. What is it like down where you are? And really, it's not about the levity, it's about the concern for the longevity. How long can Naples take this kind of pounding? And then when that storm surge comes in, then what? What are you seeing?
Chris, this is unbelievable. If we can make our way this way across the shot here, kind of give you a look. Oh, man. The visibility is completely cut off. That building structure that we just were able to show you here a little while ago is no more than 100 yards away from us, and I can barely see it anymore. The water's pulling up here on the street. The lack of visibility that has just disappeared on us here in the last few minutes is absolutely stunning. The fact that we can't even see a building anymore that was just no more than 100 yards away from us now has just been really stunning. Obviously, now lightening up a smidge. Jerry, I don't know if I can get you to come back around this way. This is a Cambier Park, which is the area just back to where we are. I'm going to get out of the way here. Chris, if you can still hear me, needed to jump out of that. That's just
I hear
way
you,
too
Ed.
crazy.
Keep going.
But looking back toward that building, you can see it's basically a outdoor concert venue with that soft tarp on it, and that is a Cambier Park here in downtown Naples. And that roof, that structure there continues to hold. I thought for sure that tarp would come flying off and ripping to shreds here as these winds have intensified, and now you can kind of see that structure again a little bit. But as we were starting to talk, I couldn't even see it. Just absolutely stunning, the amount of rain and the way it was whipping through here. And then if you look down here on the ground, you can see just how much the water is starting to pool up on the ground. Definitely, covering my feet here. That's that storm surge concern. We feel like we're in a really good spot as far as storm surge and the water rising in the area. We're halfway between the Gulf side and the river that cuts along the eastern side of town. But it is that storm surge that's going to continue to push its way north and cause a lot of flooding, that 10 to 15 foot storm surge that was expected in this. But it is the back half of that storm as it brings the water in from the Gulf side and pushes it back here toward the east that is going to be of major concern. But you can just see how little visibility we have here at this point, and the dramatic nature here as the eye of this storm, Hurricane Irma, which just made landfall in Marco Island. This is about 20 miles south of where we are.